More dialogue, less force. That's the advice the International Crisis Group is giving Mozambique in dealing with its Islamist insurgency. An insurgency that has claimed thousands of lives in the northern part of the country and forced 800,000 people to flee from their homes. And still, no decision on how to assist or a regional intervention. So let's bring in the IICG's Dino Mahtani for an update on the volatility there. Dino, very good to have you with us. What is the status of the volatility and the fighting in Mozambique?
Well, it's a very serious situation that has been unfolding for the last 3 years and has now got to a stage where 750,000 people are being displaced. As you say, something like 3,000 people are being killed in this violence. And it's a very worrying situation also for the region of the Southern African Development Community, SADC, looking at its doorstep at what is possibly a new frontier for Islamic State to exploit. And overall, there's a great apprehension in the region that this thing could spiral something out of control.
I mean, do you think SADC countries really get how bad it is? I mean, we know the way they've operated all around the world. Once they've got this fertile ground, they can spread quickly.
Yeah, I mean, SADC countries are very concerned. They do know the consequences of this. South Africa's government is deeply concerned. For example, they see it as potentially a platform from which even South African homegrown radicals can go to Mozambique, get involved in the fighting, potentially come back to South Africa and then create some disturbances in South Africa or even other neighboring states. So there is a great sense of discomfort in the region. At the same time, it's worth also bearing in mind that this insurrection has grown out of some very local conditions in Mozambique itself. And therefore, the solutions to that are, in a greater degree, going to be found in the local context. Of course, there are jihadists from outside the country, from outside Mozambique, particularly from neighboring Tanzania, who have joined into the insurrection. There's also Islamic State that is looking to tunnel in. So, I think the solution that is probably most wise at this point is, and we can get into the details of that, is to look at how to dismember or how to disable the local component of this armed group, which is the muscle of this armed group, to take that muscle away from the brains or the emerging brain of what might become a globalist jihadist agenda that's unfolding in Southern Africa.
How much of a challenge is that going to be? I mean, you talk about local conditions, and I mean, that's the case in every country, isn't it? I mean, you see it in Nigeria as well. I mean, there are many people that feel that they've got no hope, that they're on the fringes of society, and it's quite easy to get involved. I mean, what will it take to remove that muscle, and is regional intervention a part of it?
Yeah, so let's actually look at what this thing is. It has grown out of local grievances, but there is a foreign component of it. There's local Mozambican boys who are frustrated, who feel locked out of the resource boom that has developed in in the north of the country, in Cabo Delgado, where great riches have been discovered in terms of natural gas, in terms of mining resources. And a lot of these boys are actually being brought into the insurrection. Money is playing a big role. So our research has shown that a lot of them have actually joined for financial reasons. They've been recruited with financial incentives, and they stay in the movement so long as they're getting paid. And on the other end of the spectrum, you have the leadership. Now, these are more hardened, ideologically gripped young men, a lot of them from Tanzania, who've been chased out of that country after successive security force operations there from 2013, 2015, and most especially in 2017. and they have come in to exploit this local situation with a different mindset. As I said, probably more jihadist in orientation. Now the trick is to separate, to use that division between those local boys who are more sort of materialistically orientated, and to gear the Mozambican state to use a measure of force to incentivize, to degrade and to tire out the fighters, and to allow the state to give them incentive to leave, but also to capture those who are inclined to leave this movement with other sets of incentives that have to do with development, that have to do with how resources will be channeled in. And I'm talking about resources up to $1 billion and possibly more of international development finances that are being prepared for Mozambique to use in the north of the country to soothe local tensions, to build confidence with communities, and to use that confidence then to create a dialogue with militants who have been recruited out of these communities, essentially reversing the flow of recruitment. So there has to be a measure of force. This is a violent group. This is a group that has killed a lot of people, beheaded people, hacked people to death, has abducted women and children, and has put a lot of women actually into forms of sexual slavery. So there has to be a security response, but it's not the only response. There has to be a measure of security to pressure the group, and then to use that pressure to capture those people who are going to come out of this group with another set of incentives, which have to do with
won't affect
local
us, Dino.
Community dialogue and development and local incentives to get them to surrender.
We're going to have to leave it there. I mean, it's a big topic. We know that SADC's going to be talking about regional intervention or not, but it's very good to talk to you, Dino Mahtani. Thank you.